Dave, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Kev. Some of you look familiar. Is that correct? I've met some of you before.
Yeah,
Is
who
that
raise your
true?
hand? Raise your hand if you've met Dave before.
Okay.
Clifton, Jen.
I've been on the internet before.
Keith is stalked. I'm going to turn off that chime too. Yeah, how many people raise your hand have seen Dave in a show? Okay, so several of that.
All right. And you all spoke with TJ a little while ago. Is that right?
Some of the folks on here did. Yep.
Okay. He has all the information.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So for the next, we're just going to replay what TJ said for the next half hour. And
I'm telling you, that would be a better use of your time.
Dave, if you could give us like a running commentary, like a DVD commentary of.
Oh, he doesn't. I mean, he says that, but he doesn't do that. Stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Thank you. So what have you been doing to keep yourself busy during these this pandemic?
I still trying to write stuff, and I'm not, of course, not doing any performing, but or I shouldn't say that. We made a little show on it takes place on Zoom. It's about a college professor who had to take his class online, doesn't know what he's doing. So we shot a few of those, just little web series thing. And we had a reading the other night of a TV show that we wrote. We tried to turn a little web series into a show, something called The Graveyard Show, which is these little 3-minute sketches that we've done for a few years, and we're trying to turn that into a show. And actually, so TJ was part of that as well. So we had a reading of it the other night on this format.
That's where you play security guards, is that right?
Exactly. I'm a security guard. Chris Stolte is a janitor.
Oh, that's right.
And we're at the graveyard shift at an office tower.
That's good. You've been doing that for a while. I've seen a couple of those, but it's
we've been, yeah. That's fun. We have a great time. But just trying to stay busy, that's all. And in other words, the shorter answer is trying to stay busy.
Do you have any advice for improvisers on how to keep their skills sharp or how to keep the energy going?
No idea. I think this is, these kinds of things. I don't believe this is a good, I don't know. I've never done it, but it seems to me that it would be a difficult format to actually improvise in. But at least stay connected to people, which is such a big part of the benefit of being part of the community of improvisation, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it's kind of been our, what we've tried to do at Queen City Comedy, and I know some others are doing similar things as well. Great. This is kind of a heavy time as well, so I'd love to get your opinion about kind of the role of comedy when you've got I'll just call it heaviness and leave it at that. Do you have any thoughts on how it all works?
Yeah, I don't really. I mean, I think more stand-ups directly address political or current social issues and stuff like that. I don't tend to do that with improvisation. But of course, I used to do sketch and things would happen and we'd have to do a show and a set that night. And the suggestions would often be regarding that. So I think just one of the things that you just spend a lot of time trying to figure out an interesting take, at least.
Yeah.
Because the diatribes we're all very familiar with those, and they're not wrong. But it's that's not why people go to a theater. I don't think that's why you go to social media, but not necessarily why you go to a theater. And I think those two things are different. I do believe that those things are different. They serve a different function. They can be absolutely addressing and trying to foment change similarly, but they go about it differently. I do believe that I remember there was a theater out west, and my brother who's not in the arts was on the board. And the new person came in, a new artistic director, and was asked the question, do you see theater's role primarily as one of education or entertainment? And they said, education. And my brother and several other people withdrew themselves from the board. And I'm kind of with that. I believe it's primarily entertainment, and we can absolutely, there should not be without instruction or education within that. But that first, school's the other way. School's the other way around. It's education, and hopefully there'll be some entertainment. This is the opposite of that. It's neither's wrong or neither's better. That's my belief anyway.
Okay. Yeah. So it's more an escape.
Well, not just an escape, but like I'm not going to listen if you're fucking screaming at me. And I get that all the time. Yeah. I didn't pay to come and get screamed at. And invite me in, I think it's kind of the way of improvisation in general. We just invite the audience to come with us. We don't demand that they do anything. We hope that they will join us on our little adventure.
Great. Thanks.
And also, beyond all that is, I got no fucking idea.
Nobody does, but we appreciate your insight. I want to give everybody a chance to ask questions. So the way we'll do this, I'll go kind of randomize folks that let me know in the chat they had a question. I'm going to ask everybody to turn off their cameras so that it's just the person asking the question and Dave. Look how fast people are. Great job, everybody. Except for Clifton, of course.
Sorry.
Clifton Hall from Asheville. Good. Clifton, do you have a question? Never mind.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Come on back. You can go first.
All right. Can you hear me? Sorry.
I can. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I guess my question is, you do a lot of like TV and film and stuff like that. Are you kind of to that point, like when you show up, they're like, oh, you're a phenomenal improviser. You've got a huge background in that. Did they just kind of let you, did they ever just go, okay, just kind of try some stuff in this scene, just improvise it and see what happens?
It depends on the job. Sometimes yes, most of the times not. Most of the time it's and it's weird because usually the people that tell you to improvise have great scripts.
Yeah. And
the people that tell you to stick to the script, it's terrible.
Yeah.
So it's a weird thing when you do have the permission. There's really it's often not needed.
Right.
But at least in my experience, oftentimes that's the situation you find yourself in, and also it's a different deal. You can't really improvise. You can make up some lines.
Yeah.
But and it changes job to job.
For sure. Okay. Awesome. Cool. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Clifton. Next up, we got Jen Bianchi.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. I'm a huge fan. I've seen y'all live, you and TJ, and it blew my mind. One of my favorite things, even in watching in.
Did you guys drive up?
I think we saw you when you were in New York once.
Okay. All right.
But it like mind-blowing, amazing, delightful. One of the things that I was so incredibly entertained by was your ability to notice just small details, just little things in movement and stuff, which is such a gift because if you notice it, the audience notice it, but they don't realize they notice it until you said something. What is some tips, either in coaching a team or for you personally, that has helped you kind of refine this skill?
Well, and as I see it, that is the main part of the job, is just paying attention.
Cool.
And I guess that one of the, okay, that's the main part of the job. Well, why do I want to do that? Just because it's the job description, it doesn't make it interesting. But if like the idea that the other person's the most important person, like, and I'm just talking about two-person stuff right now, the other people, but the other person's the most important person is not an altruistic notion. I need to pay attention to everything they're doing because I'll learn more about me by the way I notice they're behaving toward me, because I don't really know who I am. I'm only here in relation to this other person. And so how they treat me gives me tons of information. And like you said, the audience sees it all, and I don't want to be behind them. They have a great seat. I'm at a disadvantage. I don't get to see most of this. So I have to pay attention to most of this, extra attention. And I have to pay attention to that other person. And for us, it's also a little bit of self-preservation because I may well have to play that person. And if I don't have all the information I can get, I'm going to humiliate myself. And I don't like to do that. I like to avoid doing that. And so that is, for me, the best reason to pay attention is to be better prepared to avoid abject humiliation in public. I think that's a great motivator.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. We got Brandon Short up next. Brandon?
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey.
So I have a question. So I have likened improv to meditation in such that it's really big, and I think you and you and TJ talk about this in very simple terms as far as improvisation. Listening and it's just, you guys talk about listening a lot, and it's it's a very fundamental, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's easy. So I feel like it's always having to come back to those basic fundamentals. And because you try to think of like new ways to evolve it, but it's really just coming back to these simple things. My question is that I have these times where I have these oh shit moments as I continue to get better as an improviser. Can you remember your last oh shit moment that you've had?
And now there's different kinds of oh shit. Do you mean in a good way?
Yeah, enlightening.
Okay. Well, I mean, they happen in all different forms, sometimes on stage, sometimes off stage too. I don't remember the most recent.
Sure.
But there was one that I had. It's like after a show, it was fine. The show was fine. It was a group of people. The show was fine. It wasn't great. And afterwards, most of the people said, well, that was fun. And like, oh, okay. That was fun for them. That wasn't fun for me, because fun for me is doing a fucking fantastic job. And that wasn't that. And so, and I can't pursue this stuff without other people. I can't do it on my own. So I need other people. So I need other people that are heading towards the same goal.
Yeah.
And they're not everybody is, not for better or worse. It's just a fact. Not everybody is doing it for the same thing. Like TJ and I think are pretty similar in what our belief is about what's possible.
Yeah.
But other people instead of bowling, I do this. It's a fun thing to do with people, and we get up and people look at us, and we're better lit than the audience, and that's a thrilling thing. That's not what it's about for me. So so it's really great to identify that because I do need to have other people who are heading in the same direction. If they're not heading in the same direction, nobody's going to be happy.
Right. Cool.
So
Thanks,
that
man.
was one. I guess others just like one of them. It was a long time ago, but it was tiny and no one noticed. But for me, it was huge, and I'm like getting choked up thinking about it. Like at the beginning of a show, I started to reach in my pocket and pull out a real handkerchief, and then I'm like, oh no, we're improvising. So I pulled out a fake handkerchief, And I didn't know why. And about 45 minutes later, darn if I didn't need a handkerchief. And it was the craziest thing. Like, I didn't know, but like we were talking about before, I have to pay attention to everything I'm doing too, to realize, oh, I have just the thing that we need right now. And we weren't building towards a fucking handkerchief. It had nothing to do with anything. But I just stuff like that where if I pay attention, I can see connections that other people can't see. And so it looks like magic.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Pay attention. I mean, use the term listening. Paying attention, that's the same thing. Like listening with all our senses. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm drinking urine.
We were all thinking it.
Hello. Hi, nice to meet you.
You too, Roxy.
Thank you. Oh my God, he said my names. Yes. I'm trash. Thank you for being here and taking the time to answer some of these questions. You're incredible. My question for you is, for me, improv makes me want to be a better person because I find in the moments that I break character a little is because I'm really paying attention to the person that I'm doing a scene with. And, you know, I get to call this person my friend and I care about them. And I'm laughing or I'm entertained by a truth they've said. And I want to know what little things are your favorite part of a show. And what do you take away from improv? So are you saying that when you laugh at something, you feel like you're breaking character? Yeah, well, it just means I got to the point where, like Brandon said before, listening is not easy, but when I really heard something, you know, not just listening to further a scene, but really heard what my other scene partner said. And it's funny in the truthfulness of it. That's what I find to be funny, like the little moments in life where you act with somebody and then these pieces of your lives are just truthfulness comes out and it's just a great moment, a shared moment, you know, that you have with somebody. And that happens when you listen to them. And like, what do you find to be your favorite moments? And if that's okay, because I'll stop if I'm doing it wrong. Just tell me.
If what's okay? to have a good time? No, absolutely not. Do not have fun. Okay. Yeah, I laugh because shit's funny, and it's only funny right then. I mean, try to tell somebody if you're improvising one night or even at a show, watching someone, you know, some other people improvise and something just slayed, right? And then you try to tell someone the next day, it's like, oh, yeah, you know, this guy, he told this girl that his sandwich didn't have crust. And it fucking makes absolutely no sense. It's only for, that's what I like about it. It's really only intended to be for this group of people at this time. And for better, for worse, it's never happening again. And we're the only ones who get this, and then it's gone. And it's just that's part of I think the beauty of it. It's just for now and just for us. One of the things that I like most about improvising is in a room full of strangers who have paid money, my brain works differently. And I like it. And it doesn't work that way. And I have not yet been able to figure out how to recreate the conditions to make my brain do that in other, because I'd love to have it while writing, I don't have it. I know some people do. I can't quite access it. But that's what I like most about it. I'm tickled by, oh, wow. Because I'm like, it's, and also where it goes. TJ and I talk about it. It's like we're both active participants, but also we're just passengers. And so I really love that about it. It's like a, does anybody still do fucking hallucinogens? No, it's kind of like that for me. Today's the anniversary of Doc Ellis pitching a no-hitter on acid. And so it was on my brain. It's kind of trippy. And I love that about it. No one would expect that we are going to end up where we ended up. At the beginning of the show, in our case, it's the two of us standing on stage, just looking. No one could not us, not anyone else, could possibly guess that we're going to end up in a cottage with a killer. It just doesn't seem like a reasonable thing, but step by step, moment by moment, all of a sudden there we are. I like that about it too. It's just the discovery, the adventure of it.
Well, thank you. You're really good at it.
Well, thank you. I really like it.
I'm glad you do. I really like it too.
All right, thanks, Roxy. We got Keith Williams coming to the stage.
Oh. Hey, Dave, how are you, sir?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
Good. Nice to meet you. I'm Keith Williams. I'm here with you, and I'm with Better with Improv, also part of the Queen City Comedy Group. And
what's it? Better with Improv?
Better with Improv.
Okay, great.
Basically, everything is better with improv. So we try to teach improv and try to do some applied improv in leadership. And we also want to talk to and interview legends like yourself and authors like yourself. I happen to have Improvisation at the Speed of Light. Buy it now. So I wanted to talk to you about it.
Thank you for the plug, Keith.
Anytime. So my question is, first of all, I read the book, and I talked to TJ, and I asked him, and he said, first he told me to read it. He didn't think I read it. And then he said, it's just a bunch of listening. And I think the book has slightly more than that. So here's my question. Let's smash two questions into one. What would you say is the most important takeaway from improvisation at the speed of light? And how can we apply it to life and business?
Life and what?
Business.
I don't know about the second part of that question. I don't know about the second part of that question. The first part of the question is, I think TJ answered it. I think the most important thing is paying attention. And well, there you go. That's helpful in every aspect of communication for sure. Earlier, I'm terrible with names, talking about meditation and improvisation. I think it's a great barometer for how I'm doing as a person. If I'm worried about me, that leaks into my improvisation. And it's not as good. I'm not able to be as helpful as an improviser if I'm just worried about how I look. And that's a difficult thing to get over. And I think that's helpful in the regular world as well. And also I can practice on stage. It's a pretty safe place to practice things that I might get punished for in the real world, like being kind. I'm afraid the world's going to chew me up and spit me out if I'm kind. I'll be played as a chump, but I can try it on stage. I can see what that's like. So I do think that. I think that it's a great practice ground, and also to be more assertive. Like some people need that. I can try to try that behavior on stage as well.
Interesting. Twice you mentioned that the energy on stage is on stage, and then you can't really reproduce it elsewhere. You can't write with or apply it, that's where your space is. And I feel the same way. I feel like I'm on fire when I'm on stage, like it's snappy. But when I'm in a corporate environment, I'm teaching leaders, when I'm teaching coaches, I'm trying to take lessons learned from improv, listening and being engaged and going in with intention and all of those things, and pointing out the obvious, like all of those tactical points, but really they are just relationship courtesies, right? Being kind, saying yes, and right, all of those things. And so that's what I'm trying to squeeze out in a way that I could teach leaders. And I would bet that you're doing that, and maybe you're unaware of it.
Yeah, I don't see a. I talk about that. You're right. I have mentioned a couple times the distinction between being on stage and being out in the world, but I don't really think there's much of a. The difference is there's a bunch of people watching, right. and I might think that they're expecting me to be entertaining, and that's a danger, because then I'm going to start pandering and doing shit like that. But I guess I have to try to figure out what the job description is. And I do think it's just to pay attention. For me, it's to pay attention and respond honestly, given the information that we've established up until this point. That's what I think the job is. So the main part of that is paying attention. Like TJ said, it's just about listening. It really is just about listening. We talk about also to determine and listening to determine what this relationship is, because that's all there is. It's this relationship. And whoever I'm playing, the most important thing is this relationship. Whether we like each other, whether we don't like each other. And one of the things that we've found out through many hours of practice is it works better when you like each other. You don't have to, but it's easier. That's the most, if I'm doing sketch, it's a different thing. The who, what, and where is really important. I have to get that out immediately because we have to establish the situation and the location and all that. I don't have to do that while improvising. I just have to behave as though we're cousins, right? Everybody's going to understand we're cousins at a picnic. We're going to find out we're at a picnic, but that we're cousins is the most important thing. And not even the label that we're cousins, but how we treat one another. We don't see each other very often, but we have a great rapport when we do. And we have some common interests and understandings of stories, and that's all we need. And I think that's another thing is, I think something else is needed. And I think that's one of the problems with improvisation. And I think that's one of the problems with out there too, is I think I lack something. I don't lack anything. I think I need that fucking car, or because I'm told that I need that car. I don't need that. I'm fine. I'm fucking fine. And same thing on stage. I'm fine. This is plenty. There's that quote from Mamet that talks about, he was talking about on stage. The interchange between two people is always occurring, is always unplanned, and is always fascinating. And the quote goes on to slam acting schools. But if I stop there, it's always occurring. So it's already done. It's already happening. I don't have to make it happen. It's already happening. It's always unplanned, so I don't have to work at it. And it's always fascinating. It's already fascinating. It doesn't need me. So I just have to, so all the work's been done. I just got to respond honestly in this moment based on what we've established up until this point. And it's not easy. I understand that.
That's terrific. Well, just know that I do like you. So this was good. I came here, I wanted to yell at you, but you said you wouldn't listen. So it all worked out. And I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Keith. I got Tim Webb. Tim.
Hello. Here I am. Hey, I'm a huge fan. Listen, you guys do such amazing characters and so many in one scene. I was wondering, do you have a criteria or a method that you use or some rule of thumb that you use for developing characters?
Thank you. I'd say both of us would say that we're not very good at playing characters. And I guess if you come to a bunch of our shows, you'd see that, you know, when I'm playing a lady, there'd be some similarities. But I think a lot of it is between us. We know that that's not that lady. It's not, you know, oh, he's pulling Marge out now. It's not that. It's like, this woman is specific to this particular story. I'm not good enough to be able to differentiate 100 different women who are between, you know, 40 and 45. But I think a lot of it is on the other person. I remember Del used to talk about, if I want to play someone scary, the job lays on the other people being scared, right? They do all the work. If they're scared of me, then I'm scary. And so similarly, we realize that this is a specific individual. We're treated like a specific individual. And we also realize that each other, you know, if somebody's reading an imaginary newspaper, I know he knows what he's reading. So it's not a pimp for me to ask him, what's that article about? You know, whereas sometimes that feels like a pimp, you know, just like, oh, here's a note, read it. That's a different thing. But he's reading a magazine. I know he knows what the name of the magazine is, and I know he knows what article he's reading. Otherwise, he wouldn't have picked it up. He probably saw the title on the cover of the magazine before he picked it up. Oh, that looks interesting. And again, he picked it up because it looks interesting, right? I'm reading a magazine that's interesting, that interests me. It's so much easier if I like it, right? It's so many times you sit down at a restaurant in a scene and you order something, that's terrible. What the fuck? You could have anything in the world, but you got something awful. Like, it's just easier when you like like them, it's just easier. So the idea of playing characters, a rule of thumb, when they enter, something like that, or if they're called for, and it's a subjective thing. If there seems to be a need, and we don't tend to, or try not to, like, oh, this is uncomfortable, let's have somebody else interrupt us. We try not to do that as much, because that's not the kind of show that we're trying to do. There's excellent reasons to do that, especially for comedic value and stuff. It's just in our kind, we're trying not to do as much of that. But just as needed, boy, you know, we've been sitting here for a long time. My guess is we're not here alone. We're at an airport. You know, there's probably somebody sitting right there, and they probably heard everything we said.
That's great. Thanks so much.
Just as needed, and again, that goes back to just paying attention. I don't know what's needed if I'm not aware.
Fantastic. I'm a huge fan of the Graveyard. Can't wait.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks a lot.
Great. Thanks, Tim.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm actually taking notes and going like, oh my God, this is so great. I had a question that somewhat was answered, and I thought so about, it's a tricky way to phrase it, but being in love with your partner, not in love, love your partner. And I think that's what you're talking about. Positive is more interesting. Is that?
Well, yeah, I should look at, I get all my information from them. Sometimes I'm tricked into thinking I'm going to get information from the audience, but I'm not. I'm getting all my information from them. So it serves me to pay close attention to them. And so even so much as like in theater, you can stare out, you know, and look off in the distance. I'm putting myself at a great disadvantage if I'm not locked on that other person. So I just think I've got to remember what it is that we're doing. And I don't have eyes in the back of my head. This isn't written. I don't have blocking direction. And they don't know, so they can't see my face. I can't see theirs. So much of it comes from here. Not all of it, but so much of it does. And it's just, also, if it's going well, nobody needs we don't have to rationalize why it's going well. If it's not going well, we need to have a fucking explanation, right? But if it's going well, it can just go. We don't have to fill it in with backstory and excuses. And so that's another reason why it tends to work better if we like each other. Otherwise, and conflict is going to come. That's it's going to come. So we don't have to seek it. It will come anyway. But if we're starting out in a fight, we have to explain why we're in a fight. And that's not moving forward. So if we're just being, relating to each other, given our relationship, what it seems like, and then we'll name it maybe later. If we just continue doing that, it doesn't require any explanation.
And you're touching right on my second question, which is, it seems like a huge difference between theater and improv. And I was wondering how much it came into play with you guys that are so focused. In theater, okay, I'm in my light, I've got my prop, am I picking up my cues? How's my timing? There's a third, degree of information that's going in there. With improv, it seems like you at least mostly toss that out. Is there ever an element where that's a little there, where you're including the audience in the music that you're making, if you know what I mean?
I think I know what you mean. No, we can't. We can't afford it. Like, a lot of times, our back's to the audience, because the way this room is set up, if there's a coffee bar, the bar would be over there, and so my ass is in the audience's face. All right, we didn't plan on this, but that's what we have, and it would be a lie to make it somewhere else. I suppose we could, reorient the whole room, which that'd be kind of interesting, wouldn't it? But that's hard to explain to someone on the fly and the audience.
Yeah.
They could do it if we have a turntable in a theater, right? I don't think we can afford, as improvisers, I don't think, I can't, maybe other people can, afford to, I don't want to trade off my connection with this person just to make the audience feel a little more included, like stage picture and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If we're doing a sketch, absolutely, we'll improvise it. It will become set, and now we know how it's going to work. So now we can take our moments and speak out, because they need to hear us for sure. They need to hear us.
But if they also respond to something, laughter or does that in any way move what you were doing, or?
How do you mean? Their response?
Just their response, emotional or verbal or?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's weird, because it's a weird relationship with the audience, because it's real one-sided. We'll take what we want and just disregard the rest. We require their attention. We can't do it without it. But we're not, sometimes you feel, oh, that got a big laugh, they probably want more of that. That's just not a question. That's like, and that's the temptation. Like, oh, they like that, they want it to go that way. They don't know what they want. They want it to, they want to enjoy it, just like they enjoyed just this last moment that was unplanned. They want to enjoy other moments. So they don't necessarily want, I don't think, at least our audiences don't necessarily want, they're not there for a comedy show. They're there for an hour of improvisation. And they know, a lot of them do. And it's weird because a lot of times you get people that are coming to the show for the first time, and I don't know why they're there, but they've never seen it before. And they've never seen anything like it before. And it takes a while. It takes about 15 or 20 minutes. You can feel it in the audience if a large part of it is new. They're like, is this it? Is this what's happening? Is it? They're not too worried. They seem to be comfortable. The other people seem to, I guess this is it. I guess. And then they're on board. They just aren't sure what's happening. And so if we were to, at the beginning, freak out and bail, oh, we lost them, and try to get them back, the show's fucked. And so I'd say, yeah, it's a weird relationship with the audience. It's kind of one-sided.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Does that make any sense at all?
It makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Thanks, Roseanne.
Hi, Dave.
Hey.
Hey, I'm still new to improv, performing and watching, so I'm not too familiar with your work. I did watch your movie, your documentary last night.
Oh, wow.
And it was absolutely transformative for me. What really impressed me was the pacing of the whole show and the scene. Every element didn't seem contrived. It seemed like it was discovered organically in the moment. And someone like me who's been performing for give or take 2 years with the rest of my team, I often find myself, and often my teammates as well, trying to do too much. Or I guess we don't let the scene breathe. Is this something you can practice, and how?
Yeah, the documentary was shot by a guy named Alex Karpovsky, and I believe, to my mind, that is the first time, regardless of the content, that improvisation was ever watchable. Because I know the shows were fantastic, but they were shot like just with regular 3 camera, and it's a fucking unwatchable. So he used like 8 cameras, and I thought he just did an amazing job. Anyway, yeah, it's something you can practice, but not all jobs improvisation is a big umbrella, and not all shows require the same thing. Ours is kind of.
That's what I always enjoy in also other people's performances. It's just, it makes it very relatable, very human when it's real.
Yeah, I'm with you. And a lot of people like other things too. They like wacky and fantastical. And I laugh at that stuff too. I'm not as interested in doing it because I'm not as good at it. That's the truth. I like musical improv. I can't, for the life of me, I can't, I'm never going to do that. I'm not good at it. So this is what I do. And I like doing that. And you can practice it, but you can't do it alone. Like I was saying earlier, you have to have other people who are interested in doing the same thing, because you can't do it alone. And you can't do it when someone else isn't doing it. I shouldn't say that. You can't do it well.
I know.
When someone else isn't interested in doing it. You can try to be, of a pace on your side, but then likely, especially if you're with a group, you're going to get tagged out, or your scene is going to get cut off or something. Yeah. I mean, that's just the way it goes, especially in a Herald. So for me, this is how I came up. So I didn't have that. I didn't have to fight that. We were all just trying to do this. They were slower scenes, and we were told we didn't have to hurry, and we were not. It was very clear that we were not required to be doing comedy. So if it depends on what it depends on what the show is. So if it's comedy, you gotta gotta be funny. We don't. We just have our only promise is that we did not work on this, so it is something you can practice, and I think you can practice in workshop. And I think it's really good to practice in workshops and class, and then you go on stage and try it, because you're not going to do it. I think to artificially slow it down in workshops, because like the adrenaline and stuff, you're going to not be able to go that slowly in a show. But if you slow it down artificially to, there are exercises you can do, is like 3 seconds before you speak. Between the last person speaking and you speaking, 3 full seconds or 5 seconds, whatever you want. But we were also told that so that will, then you'll start to feel what it's like, and it's uncomfortable to sit. Because I think I'm supposed to be doing something. I'm not supposed to be doing anything. TJ says it elegantly. I can always respond with the beautiful choice of silence. That is a response. And we were told that the line is not complete. My line is not complete until I see you receive it. Acknowledge that you've received it. You don't have to say anything yet, but I speak it, you get it. And that's one line. And so I think, so those are exercises I think that are helpful, that were very helpful for me, and, still do. Yeah. And just sit there sometimes on stage. Just fucking sit there. It's fun. Go right down the front and just fucking sit.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks, Ahmad. I would like to give a big shout out to Arinthia. Al,
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I am doing great. So I am I currently teach our level 1 class at our theater, and it's super fun. I love it because you get to go to the root of that raw energy and, wonder that is Improv 101. And my question for you is, what is something that you've held on to either since when you took level 1 or at the beginning of, your performing improv, that you still kind of hold on to today and helps you on stage and off?
All of it. My first teacher was a woman named Judy Morgan, who was absolutely fantastic, and she made it easy for me to really. I'd never been on stage before. I was halfway through college before I started. I went with my brother, tagged along to a class, and like I say, I was not in plays in grade school or high school or anything. And I just really enjoyed it from the very beginning, because it was, so one of the things is it's just like, we're going to make something out of nothing. And we can only do it if we all cooperate. And there's just kind of this hippie vibe to it that I really respond to. It's like, it's kind of magic. It doesn't really make sense. And wait a minute, this was unplanned and it's really engaging. Okay. And also just the paying attention, still the same thing. Paying attention and instead of cracking jokes, make connections, right? Which makes it specific to this thing that we're doing. Those connections don't exist anywhere else. And we were also, when I came up, we'd get our ass handed to us if we went for jokes. I worked with Del Close, and he was not a fan of that. And so that's one of the things that I still work on, and that paying attention. And I also remember early on, this is from Del also, I can afford to tell the truth. No one will believe me. Right? They don't, I can hide, my fear of telling the truth is I'm going to expose myself, but they'll just see it as a character. Right? Yeah. And so that was really helpful. And I also remember we used to do a lot of in Heralds and stuff. Used to do a fair amount of monologues, and even in scenes and stuff. And all of a sudden, like, there's laughter. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And there was nothing. I wasn't going for jokes. I wasn't doing anything. I was just trying to behave honestly. And I was, awkward or nervous talking to a girl or something like that. And they laughed. I'm like, oh, so it's not up to me, which is one of the helpful things. Like somebody was asking about a aha moment, or like, oh, it's not, I just do this and they're going to do what they want. Yeah. Great. I just do this and they'll respond however it affects them, but they're going to respond to, like, I think one of the things that's tickling is when we see something that's unusual, and nothing is more unusual than someone being honest, so I think, anyway, so I'm still trying to do the same things that I was trying to do almost 40 years ago. Wow, I just did the math. Jesus Christ, I should be better.
You'll get there.
Thank you.
You got this.
Hey, big fan. Thanks for speaking with us, and thanks for the Doc Ellis reference. Much appreciated. My question is just what are your thoughts on the overall on improv theater, and maybe theater in general with the pandemic, and what do you see, if any, changes post-pandemic?
Don't know. No, I don't think. I think they're starting to open up theaters in Italy, but they're, that's a weird thing because it's better when there's a group of tightly packed people in what looks like a fucking living room. That's the best place for improvisation, I think. So I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't think, the problem with improvising this way is which is a problem with improvisation live, is it becomes talking heads, and that's not really what we're doing. I don't think. If some of it is, which is great, so it can sustain this format, but a lot of it isn't. And I think theater is the same way. I try to watch some filmed theater, and it's just, you might as well watch a movie. If you're going to watch something filmed, you might as well watch a movie, because it doesn't matter to the viewer if it's on the screen. It doesn't matter to me how it got here, and unless I'm convinced that it's happening live and I can somehow feel a part of this thing that's happening right now, it doesn't matter. And even if I'm sitting at home, I'm going to tune out. And improvisation can't sustain that. It has to have everybody right there. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. Like I say, they're opening things in Italy now. Italy, which is over its terrible first hump, and they're starting to open things up again. And they are not allowing citizens of the United States of America in because we're so fucked up. They're allowing pretty much everybody else in, just not you guys. So I don't know what's going to happen. I was talking to Sharna. She doesn't know what's going to happen. I don't know.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope. Yeah, I imagine in time. I don't. There's a discussion. I don't know. There it is. I don't know.
Yeah, nobody knows. You got time for one more? Can we take one more question?
Sure.
Good. Lee Gannon.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great, thanks. I got to tell you, I watched a couple of your commercials for the ACA enrollment period.
Oh.
They're so unexpected. Did you write those? How much input did you have?
Some with the guy that directed them. He's a real good guy. A Chicagoan also. David Singer. He's great. We just came up with them and did them. They were fun.
They are fun. I've got another question for you. What do you do before a show to warm up?
I think for me, since I view the job as that particular job anyway, well, it depends on the show, right? For a TJ and Dave show, it's different than if doing stand-up. Doing stand-up, I can run it 1,000 times. But improvising with TJ, I view the job as being able to respond honestly with coming in with basically no preconceived ideas. Whereas that's not always the job. Like doing a Herald, you want to have like in your pocket a couple good scene starters or whatever that, but that's not what we're doing. So I try to just empty my brain. TJ and I usually do something together and then we separate for about the last 5 or 10 minutes before a show. And then we'll meet up again on stage. But for me, it's just try to shut this off. Mm-hmm. And however that can happen. Usually it's not. So TJ and I usually like do something physical together, like play catch or something. Just play catch from a long way away. We're not talking or anything. And then I just try to shut my fucking brain off, listen to music. Then we have, so we don't have, one of the things that I find really helpful is that we have the same music before we go up. And so there's this, it's not muscle memory, but it's something like that. Like I start to get into, all right, show's about to happen. I know I have exactly, this song is 5 minutes, the next song is 3 minutes. Those, we always have just the last 2 songs are constant. And that's what happens. The stage manager comes at 5 minutes and says, whatever, this song is playing, and then we split. So I do think it's helpful to have that little bit of a routine, because nothing else is, we don't know anything else, but we do know this. We do know this is going to happen, then that's going to happen, and then the lights are going to go out. So that, I think a little bit of ritual is helpful for me.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting, Dave. Why something physical? Why is that important?
I don't know that it's important. It's just something that we do. And we play catch. Sometimes if we're able to go outdoors, we'll play catch from like, about 50 yards apart. And
just not talk.
No, because we keep too far away. Yeah. And then, and sometimes we're indoors in a crowded basement, and we'll play in a hallway with the lights out and a lighted ball, and it's just weird. It's fun, and then that's it. I don't know. It's just something to get our. I think all of it is just. It's the same kind of thing. It's just to get our brains chill. We'll go over our day, and then we'll start doing that, and we'll just chill.
And do you have post-show routines as well?
Not I guess it's not really a specific routine, but we always go over the show. Yeah. We always talk about what happened and where, and was this right when you did that? And fuck, I'm sorry, I didn't see it till too late that you were already that other guy in the cabin, and I came in as the cab driver or whatever, something like that. But almost always, but I don't think there's an exception. It's that paying attention was always the solution. Paying closer attention was the solution to any of the errors.
Is it error focused, or are you looking at what you really enjoyed as well, or?
Both. The thing that because we don't want to change the things we like, so we're kind of looking at the things that we didn't, it is more error focused, I think. Okay. But we'll absolutely talk about compliment one another about that, doing that thing, or just I lose my shit on stage a lot because that fucker's funny. And I will give him shit for making me laugh because it's his fault.
Good. Well, thank you so much. If everybody turn your cameras back on, if you would, we'll say thanks and goodbye. Dave, have you been to the Carolinas before? Have you spent any time here?
Yeah, I was in Atlanta a lot, and we went over to Charleston and stuff like that. Also, my brother has a place up in Atlantic Beach up there and up north there.
That's where I'm from.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, Emerald Isle.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he's there right now. He and his son and his wife who came down from New York, they're all holed up over there. And my nephew's wife is going to have a baby in about 4 days.
Oh, no. Wow.
Yeah, in the middle of this.
She'll be going to Morehead City.
Yes, she will. They're right over the bridge. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Geography, y'all, it's hilarious.
Well, we would love if you come to Charlotte and spend some time with us. If anybody agrees, give David a round of applause.
For sure.
Sure. Absolutely.
So
thanks a lot.
We'll look for an excuse so that you can come and visit your brother and hang out with us for a little bit.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it
for doing it, and thanks to everybody for being a part of this. We really appreciate it. Stay safe. Be good to each other.
Thanks, Kale.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to see how this ends.
Let's see how it ends. There's no post-credit scene.
Nothing at the end. All right.
There's no, Sam Jackson's going to come out and start
Somebody
an
came
Improv
back.
All right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Sam Jackson. Is there a post-credits? Thank you, Dave. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. See you, Kale.